Hello everybody, Ketwolski here checking in with another Star Trek Online Reckoning / Season 12 update review, informational news podcast thing. I guess it's not quite a podcast if I'm here, so maybe it's a video cast, I don't know. Anyway, so they've recently just posted announcing the Tzenkethi Battlezone and then also designing the Tzenkethi starship. So we're going to talk about both of those news bits today. First, we're going to go through the Tzenkethi Battlezone. I'll go ahead and read the news article here to you guys and give my opinions on this. Okay, the Tzenkethi forces have set up operations in a Gon-Kra system at far edges of explored space. The Tzenkethi Battlezone is a new area for level 60 captains. The Tzenkethi ships guard new mining and construction operations where the Tzenkethi have built facilities to harvest the raw material of the system and turn it into weaponry. Now, I think that this is talking about the other video where they talked about how in the PvE queue, where you're going to be fighting against their little construction facilities that are actually utilizing event horizons, black holes, in order to gather the materials needed to make protomatter bombs. It's probably what these are, but you probably won't get to that granular level because usually battle zones are big, so you probably won't get to that granular level of dealing with constant, like, 25 different black holes, but I think that's the same kind of facilities that they're talking about here. Okay, Allied forces rally to set up blockades and counter the Tzenkethi construction projects. Destroy their research data and deny them the assets for their war machines. Of course, the Tzenkethi will fight to protect their operations. Once Allied forces have taken control of the area, captains must hold off Tzenkethi dreadnoughts using metaphasic shielding. Succeed and the Tzenkethi will be repulsed from the system. Fail and their war efforts will continue. So that's pretty crazy. Completion of the objectives in the Tzenkethi Battlezone will award new Lukari marks used for advancing through the Lukari Restoration Initiative rep. Additionally, participation awards expertise in dilithium is available to all level 60 captains, accessible from all factions, accessible from the Alpha Quadrant. Okay, that's pretty cool. So pretty standard stuff here. The same design as the other battle zones, which is, you know, you're going to get dilithium experience and that particular battle zone's rep marks. If you go through the Dyson one, you're going to get Dyson marks. If you go through the Kobali one, you're going to get Delta Quadrant marks. Like, it's the same kind of design and style. So that was kind of expected for them to kind of keep that there. And obviously adding the Lukari Restoration Initiative rep, the new reputation comes out with every new expansion and every new content update. So that's not a surprise there. I am excited to see what the Lukari armor is going to look like, or what the new Lukari weaponry and shields and stuff like that's going to look like, or, you know, different things like that. So I'm excited to see what those look like and what the designs of those will look like. And I'm also excited to see if they actually allow players to purchase Tzenkethi armor, but that's a discussion for another day. So, alright, let's take a look at some of these pictures here. It looks like we have like a gateway object here, and looks like we have several different facilities. I'm not sure what this construction item is right over here. This looks like it could be the bow of a ship or even a piece of one of the other gateways. And it looks like we're inside of like what appears to be like the rings around this particular planet and this particular planet. So I'm not sure if these rings are artificial or if in fact these are what they're mining, because it kind of looks like their weird halo looking devices are actually inside of those areas. So that might be what they're actually trying to mine in order to build protomatter weapons. I'm not quite sure. And then let's take a look at the second image. We get kind of a closer look at, it looks like a closer look at this going on over here, because we have another device here. Looks like we have two different Tzenkethi warships inbound. There's a B bag here, which makes me think that that's another objective marker off to the right. So this might be actually the locations that you have to control, quote-unquote control, in order to beat back the Tzenkethi. Because if you guys remember, in these space battle zones, the closest one we kind of got is the one in the Dyson Sphere, which there's a bunch of different hot points on the map, and you have to control those points. You have to fight off whatever, or save somebody, or do whatever the little mission is in that particular point, and then you have to remain there, because then, Voth units will try to come back in and try to take it back over. So I assume that is the same concept that's going to be happening here, which is you're gonna roll in there, take it over, or do whatever you got to do, and then you got to hold the point. Specifically, like I'm seeing, like here, like there's a B that's very similar to the way the Dyson Battlezone does it, and you got to hold that point in order to get more marks and get more expertise and get more dilithium. Again, the good thing about these battle zones is that they're constant. So like you can zip in and out of there It's not like a PvE queue or PvP queue where you have to load up into it and wait for a team. Like, you can be in there by yourself, or you can be in there with 200 people. I would imagine that once this comes out, that's going to be packed jam filled with people wanting to get their Lucari rep marks and dilithium, because that's an easy way to get dilithium. So, that's pretty cool. Alright, let's switch over to this other one here. Designing the Tzenkethi starships. Alright, we'll get back to these pictures here in a second. Let's talk about the actual report. Concept design. We designed the Tzenkethi character models first. So when we designed the species spaceships, we knew they had to continue the character of those distinctive designs. We chose a closed-shaped language and put extra emphasis in making them look like flying shells. They had a look of tanky and blunt. Later we decided to add graphic deteriorations to the ships that would look more stylish and intelligent. Alright. Systems design. As with their ground forces, a fight with the Tzenkethi in space will become easier as you understand their tactics and capabilities further. That's an interesting statement there, because usually it's just bump up the DPS, shoot, 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 blow them up. You don't need to understand their tactics of any enemy, you just gotta blow the fuck out of them. The only real tactics of any enemy that you really need to know about is board, because you need a frequency remodulator or a shield frequency remodulator in order to keep fighting. But this is interesting that they're saying that you'll become easier as you understand their tactics and capabilities further. I don't know what that means. I don't know what they're meaning by that. I don't know if... I can't imagine how that's going to work. I don't know if that's just a bold statement and then they really don't really mean anything and it's just going to be DPS, or if they develop some way for players to actually have to outsmart the enemy in getting engagements. I don't know how they would do that. I would love it if they would do something like that, because it would force people that don't just have max DPS or max, abilities on their ships to be able to actually be effective in combat. You don't have to have the best design or the best starship out there in order to be effective against the Tzenkethi, and I think that would be a really fun addition to an enemy. Okay, something that you'll come to realize early on is the Tzenkethi ship is highly resilient, and the strength of their shields is tough to rival. However, no design is without its weaknesses. In order for the Tzenkethi to accommodate the strength of the weaponry they desired, they needed to sacrifice their forward-facing shield power. In addition, this also meant that they needed to localize weaponry to keep efficiency up. This resulted in their primary means of damage to be front-facing as well. So that's interesting. So it says right here that they needed to sacrifice forward-facing shield power, but then they also put all of their weapons on the front face as well. So that may give you two different options. That may allude to the sentence that we were just talking about a minute ago, which is, if you have the ability to withstand a lot of firepower, you could park yourself in front of it and fire into the weakened shields, but if you don't have a lot of shields and hull points, you can fly on the back ends, and yes, there's more shield and hit points on the back end, but you're not going to be getting hit as hard, which I think that's an interesting concept there. I'd like to see how that actually plays out in game. The Tzenkethi would not allow such a flaw in the weaponry system to exist on its own. In response, they equipped all their ships with familiar mobile capabilities to make them... They equipped all of their ships with familiar mobile capabilities to more than make up for the weapon loadout disparity. Okay, so I think that means that they have highly maneuverable. Tzenkethi know the strength of their fellow comrades. As a result, certain Tzenkethi ships are able to make Tzenkethi technology operate more efficiently when they are in close proximity to each other. Proceed with caution if you plan to employ bunching tactics against a group of Tzenkethi ships. So actually, this is 3 really bits of information that they're giving you here about how to understand and defeat the Tzenkethi in space. Number 1 is their front-facing and shield power is low with weapons only in the front, mainly in the front, I should say. Tzenkethi have the ability to be very mobile by themselves, but because once they're bunched up, that actually increases their capabilities and strengths of their ships, so you don't want to engage them when they're bunched up. That's actually 3 really good tips. Higher rank Tzenkethi ships come equipped with long-range protomatter-laced weaponry. While these weapons can't lock onto a ship post-launch, they are extremely potent to an unaware target. As additional benefit of the protomatter aspect of weaponry, the Tzenkethi technology, the explosives leave behind volatile radioactive clouds, something that we've seen a lot of, especially with the Nakul. These clouds are extremely dangerous to non-Tzenkethi ships. However, Tzenkethi have adapted their technology, blah blah blah, they're immune to it, got it. In space, the Tzenkethi are formidable, and not without a few other tricks. We believe that the Star Trek Online community of captains will show capability and adaptability and cleverness that even the Tzenkethi will not be ready for. And that's fun. Art creation, let's talk about this. Ooh, this looks fun. The Tzenkethi ships have been quite fun and interesting to work on. Since we don't know much about them, it has been a very rewarding experience for all the artists at Cryptic to develop a language for the design of such a strange alien culture. Now, what does that mean? It means that the Tzenkethi... I actually did a different video, a Zoom Files video, on one of my other playlists where I talk about the Tzenkethi and about their various different designs, because they've never actually been seen on the screen. So Cryptic kind of took different design elements from novels and from what the producers and writers have said of DS9 and kind of made their own design for it, which I thought was really kind of cool. So go check out that video, though, because that gives you a full background of who the heck the Tzenkethi are and their background there. The first steps of building any ship come from our talented concept artist Hector Ortiz. He supplied us with very detailed drawings that included different views of the ship and an actual 3D sketch that he made in 3ds Max. After that, we had meetings and wrote emails, a lot of them, I imagine, where we discussed all the details that would make these ships so unique. That's got to be a really fun job. Like, your job is to sit there and discuss how you're going to design a brand new starship for an alien race in Star Trek Online. Like, that's amazing. Once most of the information about the design is sorted out and we have a good idea of what we need to achieve, we started to figure out the actual material for the Tzenkethi fleet of ships. I'll break down the concept into all the different details and panels that need to follow our ship material master template. Okay, all ships need to follow certain constraints so that players can exchange different materials all across the board. Some parts need to be simplified, others need to be able to tile. There is also room for creating new parts like weaponry port or a section of a panel. Okay, alright, we'll get back to this picture here. Once we have resolved the placement of where everything belongs and the basic shapes that we need to accomplish, start building all the different sections of the material. One of the ideas of the Tzenkethi was to use plates that are similar to strong shells that are used for armor. We looked at the alligators, crocodiles, turtles, lizards, and monitors. The art director even mentioned the basilisks from D&D. This became one of the most used sections of material. We built elongated shells in ZBrush, giving the fleet a very specific look and feel that would make them unique. That's really cool, building the big shell panels. That's actually like basically a zoomed in version of what these things are going to be looking like. That's really cool. Every other section was built in 3ds Max. We kept in mind the organic lines that we were going for the main panels and kept straight geographical lines to trims and mechanical areas, like grills and plate connections. Nothing is still set in stone, as the idea is always being able to move pieces and details to make the most texture size that we can use. Once all the modeling was done, we create 2D texture based of the geometry that was built. The most important aspect of this point are ambient occlusion, material ID, and a normal map. There are other ones that we like to use as a cavity map, height map, and other ID maps. I have no idea what these guys are talking about. I'm not a designer whatsoever, but I assume that's relations to this image here. It's complicated. Alright, the source files that we created are brought into the Substance Designer. Here we combine them to create the actual material that will give the ships their look. We look into the specific properties that make each section of the ship so unique. It might be the undertones under a metal or the way that light travels over a semi-dull surface. There's also room to create something unique. There is always room to create something unique, like the way that the armored shells would behave. When you look at a beetle, you can perceive iridescence, so we wanted to place some of that on the material in just the right way to represent organic life under the armor. That's actually kind of cool that they did that. So what I'm gathering there is they basically made it so that the huge scales that they were building up here actually reflect light from inside, as if there's some life growing inside of it, and it's a bit more organic than it is actually a metallic substance. That's pretty cool. A separate material that we need to create is a sheet where decals, windows, and lights are placed. This will be applied over floating geometry that slightly hovers over the 3D model for the ships. I think that's just how those things are designed. I have no idea. The outputs that we have in the Substance Designer are 4 textures: a diffuse map that has a reflection map, something. This is extremely complicated stuff, so I'm going to skip over it. Once the basic material was created, we started working on the actual 3D models for the ship. The first one we built was a battleship. We started from a 3D sketch that Hector Ortiz originally built, while brainstorming the ship's overall shapes. It is an excellent guide and makes our jobs much easier. We would still spend most of our time refining shapes, looking for how all the parts intersect, and making sure that the volumes were represented as well as the final concept. When you design the battleship with a bulky front and a slender tail, it gives a menacing look. The front has multiple mouths that make it quite intimidating. Okay, this is actually the front view. I actually thought this was the rear view, but yeah, this is actually the front view of the ship. So it looks like this is the 3D model that they create, and then they layer in all of these different pieces. All of these different pieces to create what this is right here. And I actually love this blue look. Like, this blue color look is great. I love how there's a little bit of distress on this, and then inside of here you're like, what the heck's going on in here? You see like different little orbs that people are maybe living in, and it's a really menacing looking ship. And then here's the back end of it, and the underside. Okay, so this is actually the underside of it, and it actually looks the same kind of design with this blue and black and like this little like trim on it. It looks really cool. Yeah, I think that looks really cool. That's really awesome. The Tzenkethi Dreadnought was our favorite ship to build out of the three. We really liked the hammerhead look and how it's to light across the entire wingspan. The most complex piece was to build the swooping lines in the front and how they intersected with the wings. Also, the crevices had to intersect and have room for lights to show through. We had freedom to design the decals, but once we had them in place, we got a second opinion from Hector, and minor tweaks were done to them. It's also good to have a second pair of eyes to look at your own work. So this is the Dreadnought, and I have to agree that the hammerhead look is really impressive. Actually, if I get a Tzenkethi ship, it's definitely going to be this one, because that is a really powerful looking hammerhead ship. That is really awesome looking. And again, I love the design with the blue. You have the different kind of organic material panels, which you can kind of see right here, like the actual lines that are inside of this, which is awesome. And then obviously it rolls into the actual metallic panels that they have built. And then here's the underside of it, and it looks just as intimidating from the underside of the Dreadnought. That's really impressive. The Tzenkethi drones didn't take much time to make as a battleship or the Dreadnought. We started looking at early sketches that Hector made, and sent an email out to the ship team to see what those people liked and what changes we could make. It had a kit bash approach to it. After building a couple of big ships, you get a better idea of about what makes the Tzenkethi ships so unique. Because they are so much smaller, we need to be able to read from farther. They need to be able to read from farther distances. So the silhouette has to be simple, yet still have interesting parts to look at. So here's the different designs of the Tzenkethi's drone. This very much clearly looks exactly like the designs of the other ships. This design here really looks like it could come out of something like this. You know, it really does. Like, those blend really well together. Our favorite aspect of the design is the glowing lights that you see in between all the different sections. It's what makes these ships come to life. There's also blinking lights and rotating materials that support this idea. Once the last things were implemented with the decals, they support the overall line work and give the fleet another layer of complexity. So this is the battleship, all the different views of it, and you can actually see, like, yeah, there is actually a really good amount of illuminating light coming out of all of it, which really gives a good details to it. And then here is the Dreadnought view, which again, that amazing hammerhead style look with almost like, it looks like pincers back here, which is really cool. Look at the foreship, look at the forward, like, that is intimidating as all get. Even the aft looks intimidating as all get. Like, that's really impressive, and I really like the design of that. And the drone, I mean, as far as drones go, this is pretty good. This is about as good as they get, so that's pretty awesome. Once the model is done, we need to place all the nodes that will display impulse trails, warp trails, phasers, cannons, torpedoes, and special effects. All those effects have been specifically created to make this fleet more unique. We also had to create two lower polycount versions of each of the ship's 3D models. This way they load into outer space at far distances without having to display all the polygons that they see up close. That makes sense. Once that is completed, you can run a batch file that brings all the parts into the engine that we hook up into the sections to create the final assets. That's pretty cool. Tzenkethi battleship, Tzenkethi Dreadnought in flight. That's just, wow, look at that. That is impressive. And then Tzenkethi drone. And if you look, they all have the exact same style, which is, it looks like a little bit of white and then like a yellowish stream in the middle, and even the drone has the exact same design, which is pretty cool. So, okay, so that wraps up this article. I want to go back up and talk about a couple of these photos really quick. Back. Going back up to the top. So I really want to talk about this. Like, again, I think I already touched on it, but this shows you exactly how much in-depth that these ship designers go. A lot of people like to criticize Cryptic for, oh, they're just making a bunch of ships and they just mass produce them and they all look stupid and these guys are just creating the ugliest ships or blah blah blah. They don't know what the hell they're doing. And when you see these kinds of articles and you look at this kind of stuff, you know that these guys and gals in there are not just creating the worst kinds of ships. They're trying really hard to create something unique, fun and exciting for every single person to use. Like, they did not have to do this. They did not have to get down to this level and make this look like organic shells that, based off of the basilisks from D&D, lizards and crocodiles and stuff like that, they didn't have to do it. Because you really won't see that kind of detail when you're playing the game, and no one's zooming in that close because you're going to be getting shot at the Tzenkethi until you get your own, but you're going to be getting shot at the Tzenkethi, so you're not paying attention. But that stuff is on there, and that kind of detail just goes to show the level of dedication that these folks have to their craft, and I just wanted to touch on that a little bit. I do like the fact that if you notice here, there's actually a Tzenkethi ship design here that actually was not shown. So I don't know if this will later on become something of a different ship, or if maybe this was just one of the earlier designs of the battleship, and then they just got rid of this, or if maybe they're going to reuse this later on, and this will be maybe the Tzenkethi science vessel or something like that. That would be kind of cool, though. And let's keep going up, and that's it. Yeah. So this is obviously the same photo as before. This is the tail end of the battleship. And it's got the same kind of warp trail signature and stuff like that here. And you get a really good feel for all the little lights that are going on inside of here. All the different streamline lights, all the different kind of lights going on the back ends and stuff like that. And it really brings life to the ship. So it's really, really cool. Anyways, that goes ahead and wraps up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Please tell me what you guys think. Do you guys think the Tzenkethi ship designs are really cool? Do you think that they look butt ugly? What do you guys think about them? Do you think that they should have went with the more novel design, which in the novel they actually describe the Tzenkethi ships as being almost completely opaque and like you couldn't see anything in there? They look like basically a teardrop going through space. Or do you like this design here and think that they look really cool? Tell me what you guys think. I'm really curious. And tell me what you guys think about the new Battlezone. Are you guys excited for the Battlezone, or do you think that enough with the Battlezones, they're boring, we should do something else? I'm really curious to hear what you guys think about it. Anyways, I appreciate you guys checking this video out. Please throw a like and a subscribe up on YouTube, and follow me on Twitter at RealKetwolski. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!